6 months after the tragic death of Clara, Leo's wife and Eleanor's only daughter, the large wooden house on the hillside was steeped in suffocating silence. The silence was not peaceful, but a compression of grief and forbidden desire. This house, once Clara's sanctuary, had become the lonely refuge of two souls harboring unspoken longings. Eleanor, 48, long widowed, now grieved the loss of her child. Her loneliness was a bottomless pit, a void that her refined elegance and sophisticated demeanor could no longer conceal. The shell of her quiet dignity had cracked, revealing a desperate woman seeking warmth, passion, and vitality. She yearned to be seen not just as a mother or a widow, but as a desired woman. Leo, 30, an architect with a calm, masculine exterior but eyes perpetually filled with fire, carried the chaos of a young man facing profound loss. He wrestled with survivor's guilt, emptiness, and the sudden drought in his intimate life. He saw in his mother-in-law not just the only relative remaining, but a mature, neglected beauty that held a powerful, sinful attraction. Their proximity began with sleepless nights in the living room. They spoke of Clara, of memories, but their eyes spoke of themselves, of the forbidden. Every lingering glance was a silent confession. On one occasion, Leo found Eleanor huddled on the sofa, wearing only a thin silk nightdress. The dress did little to hide the curves of a woman past her prime but still alluring and vibrant. He brought the heavy fleece blanket to cover her. His hand brushed against her bare foot. The touch lingered, not between a son-in-law and mother-in-law, but the tentative exploration of two desperate, lonely people. Eleanor shivered, a tremor running through her body, but she did not pull away. She craved that touch, that confirmation that she was still wanted. "I will never leave you, Eleanor," Leo whispered, dropping the formal mother and using her name, raw and intimate. In that moment, the thick ice of propriety shattered. Eleanor looked up, her eyes blazing with an uncontainable fire. Leo saw the surrender of a woman who had endured too much for too long. It was the mutual acknowledgement of two souls standing on the precipice, neither intending to retreat. The hunger intensified without cease, creating a dangerous atmosphere throughout the house. The large living room with its stone fireplace became the perfect setting for their transgression. One cold night, Eleanor sat reading, without a coat, wearing only a wide-necked wool sweater that revealed her seductive collarbone and a generous part of her chest. Leo walked in. He tried to maintain his composure, but his eyes were drawn inexorably to the curves hinted at beneath the thin fabric. "Let me put more logs on," Leo said, his voice husky with suppressed tension. As he knelt, he deliberately let his hand brush the top of her bare foot. She let out a soft gasp, a tiny sound that hit him like thunder. The heat from the fire, combined with the warmth of his skin, was an irresistible temptation. Eleanor reached out and touched his hair. "You keep melting my heart, Leo," she murmured, her voice laced with both reproach and desperate invitation. Leo sprang up. He could not endure this sweet torture any longer. He pressed close to her, his sharp breath ghosting against her neck. His hand grasped her waist possessively, pulling her to her feet, holding her against his body. "Do you know this will destroy us both?" Leo whispered, his voice thick with repressed desire. "Then let it burn us down," Eleanor replied, turning to him. She pressed her lips against his, no longer mother-in-law and son-in-law, but two desperate souls in a fire of lust and transgression. Their kiss was a volatile mix of guilt, pain, and long-suppressed craving. Leo lifted her without breaking the kiss and laid her down on the thick leather rug before the fireplace. The wool sweater and thin shirt were quickly dispensed with in the fervor of their passion. The flickering firelight provided sanctuary for their forbidden act, transforming the living room into a secret shrine where they unleashed every desire in an intense, possessive embrace. Danger and secrecy only amplified their excitement. The kitchen, where discovery was always a possibility, became the stage for their most daring, fleeting, and high-risk encounters. One morning, Leo came down to make coffee. Eleanor was standing by the granite counter, wearing only one of her late husband's oversized white shirts. The shirt was loose and long, making her look vulnerable yet incredibly sensual. She bent down to reach for a mug, a posture Leo couldn't tear his eyes from. Leo moved swiftly, pinning her back against the cold granite surface. He said nothing, simply locking eyes with her in an act of absolute possession. Eleanor felt the contrast between the cold stone and the searing heat of Leo's body pressing against her back. She closed her eyes, utterly surrendered to his strength and hunger. Leo kissed her quickly but with immense power. His hand slipped beneath her shirt, exploring the warm, soft skin of her mature body. Eleanor bit into his shoulder to stifle a moan. It was a brief, manic moment, brimming with sexuality, where reason was entirely overwhelmed by raw craving. The thrill of imminent discovery was the most potent catalyst. They separated immediately afterward, exchanging only a glance that was both guilty and triumphant, before resuming their mother-in-law/son-in-law roles just as the housekeeper was about to arrive. The scent of coffee and their mingling body heat created a sweet, dangerous secret known only to them. Their insane relationship was not purely physical, it was also a psychological addiction. Eleanor and Leo became mutually dependent, constantly seeking proximity, even if only a fleeting touch when handing over the newspaper. One evening, Leo was working in Clara's former room, now his office. He found her old diary. The innocent, loving entries about her devotion to him tore Leo apart with guilt. He sought out Eleanor. He didn't mention the diary, but his agony was clear in his eyes. "You're thinking of her, aren't you?" Eleanor asked softly, her voice filled with both understanding and a hint of jealousy. I can't stop feeling like a traitor," Leo confessed in pain. Eleanor offered no verbal comfort. She walked to him, embracing Leo gently yet possessively. She let him bury his face in the crook of her neck, where he always found her distinctive scent. She stroked his back soothingly, but slowly, the solace morphed into seduction. She pulled him toward the large leather sofa in the study. "We are already dead, Leo. Both of us. We are living as two ghosts, and only when we are together do we feel like we are breathing." Her words, both cruel and seductive, were the key to a new level of abandon. This room, once where Clara had dreamed of a future, now became the place where they murdered that memory with their new passion. They intertwined on the leather couch, consumed by the darkness and the silence of a lost soul. Eleanor's orchid greenhouse was their safest haven, a tropical, humid paradise nestled in the woods. It was always warm and filled with the heady, potent scent of earth and rare orchids, the very scent of desire. One rainy afternoon, Leo came to help Eleanor repot a valuable orchid. She wore an old t-shirt and shorts, looking comfortable and approachable. Her t-shirt, clinging to her body from the humidity and smeared with dirt, only amplified the visual stimulus. Eleanor's hands were covered in soil, and she accidentally brushed some onto Leo's cheek. He grasped her hand, bringing it to his lips. The smell of damp earth, orchids, and the faint scent of Eleanor's perspiration overwhelmed Leo. He pulled her into his arms, squeezing her tight. They fell onto the long bench tucked into a corner, hidden behind the flamboyant cattleya orchids. The heat of Leo's body, combined with the moist air, created an intimacy that felt almost hallucinatory. Eleanor didn't resist, she surrendered. The pain of losing her daughter, her husband, her loneliness, all dissolved in Leo's passionate seizure of her. "Forget everything, Leo," Eleanor whispered. "Forget what we're doing. Just feel. Only tonight." Leo tore away her defenses, exploring her maturity and her suppressed hunger. They merged amidst the orchids, in the soft, hazy green light of the greenhouse. The sound of the rain outside intensified their secrecy and fervor. It was absolute liberation, where they embraced their guilt to find life. The main bedroom balcony, overlooking the quiet hillside, became the place where they most openly defied taboo. The moonlight, the cool breeze, and the exposure were all elements that fueled their audacity. One moonlit night, Eleanor stood alone, wrapped in a thin silk robe. Leo emerged. He held her from behind, feeling her tremble. His lips trailed along her neck. You are challenging the heavens, Eleanor, Leo said, knowing his words were a provocation. Then let the heavens punish me, she replied, her voice filled with defiance and longing. Leo turned her around, her back pressed against the cold stone railing. He gazed deep into her eyes, a mixture of madness and love swirling within. Leo used his strength to crush Eleanor's final resistance. She wasn't a young lover, she was a mature woman craving affirmation and dominance. He lifted her, pressing her hard against the railing, a moment of breathtaking danger and daring. The coldness of the railing and the night wind contrasted sharply with the fire raging within them. I want you to be the only one, Leo, Eleanor whispered, the confession breaking down every remaining barrier. I want you to shatter my life if that is the price. Leo responded with a possessive power. It was a violent passion, a sinful surrender, an absolute release under the moonlight. Their affair began to show fissures under the weight of suspicion. Michael, Clara's younger brother, started returning home more frequently. He noticed his mother's suspicious freshness and Leo's constant tension and evasion. One night, a massive storm hit the hillside. Lightning split the sky. The whole house was plunged into darkness. Leo and Eleanor rushed down to the living room, to the fireplace, where their love had first ignited. The thunder was incessant, the storm a perfect reflection of the chaos in their souls. Eleanor clung to Leo, the thunder seemingly urging them to release everything. We will be ruined, Eleanor, Leo said. But not tonight, Eleanor replied, her voice fierce and authoritative. If this is the last night, let it be the most magnificent. In the storm, they merged, more passionately and desperately than ever, as if challenging fate itself. Their hunger became ferocious, violent, as if they wanted to consume each other. They cared about nothing but absolute possession. Michael, woken by the thunder, came downstairs. He saw the living room in darkness, but the firelight betrayed everything. He saw two silhouettes, intertwined on the thick leather rug. A flash of lightning illuminated their faces. Michael froze, seeing his mother's face in the arms of his deceased sister's husband. The cruel, vulgar truth incinerated his mind. He didn't scream, he simply retreated, silently dissolving into the darkness. Days later, Michael confronted them. There was no shouting or anger, only profound disgust and agonizing pain. Michael walked into Leo's office, holding the embroidered silk scarf with Eleanor's name on it that he had found. Did you sleep with my mother? Michael roared. His voice was thick with revulsion. Eleanor walked in, offering no denial. She stood protectively in front of Leo, her eyes defiant and full of guilt. She had accepted the cost. This is between Leo and me. You have no right to judge. This feeling was not a choice, it was a release. Her words were fuel to the fire. Michael, betrayed by both his brother-in-law and the mother he revered, collapsed. He left, vowing to expose everything and destroy their lives. Michael's threat became reality. The truth was exposed. Leo lost his job, his friends turned away. Eleanor was ostracized by the community, abandoned by her remaining family. The highest price was paid when Michael successfully gained custody of the child shared by Leo and Clara. They refused to let the child grow up amidst incestuous sin. Leo and Eleanor lost everything but each other. They decided to leave the hillside house, abandoning society's judgment, seeking a remote, isolated place. They chose forbidden love, and they lived with its sinful consequence. In their humble rented house, Eleanor looked at Leo. We traded everything. Leo squeezed her hand, his eyes burning with fervor and possession. But we won our only truth, Eleanor. You are the fire that saved me, even if that fire burned down our whole world. And I will never let you go. They lived with the legacy of their transgression, accepting isolation and sin. Their love was a life sentence, yet also the absolute liberation from their crushing solitude.